Hi folks, welcome back to MetaBox Tutorials. Today, we're going to create a professional timeline page with the help of the MB Views extension from MetaBox. This type of content is great for presenting the chronological information of events, roadmap, history, and so on. A well-structured timeline will help visitors access information easily. This timeline has multiple points. Each one is a timestamp with the date and information about an event. This case is the version of the plugin updates. Each event will be saved in a post of a custom post type. Then, we use custom fields to manually choose which post will be shown in the timeline, as well as set their order. Let's take a look at the tools we'll need for this practice. First, we'll use custom post type, custom fields, as well as MB views. So we must have the MetaBox plugin to have a framework for them. You can get it directly from WordPress.org. Additionally, we need several MetaBox extensions to have some advanced features. You can either install them individually, or just use MetaBox all-in-one to have them all. For this exercise, we need to use the following extensions. If you do not want to use the blog posts for the posts we shown in the timeline, you should have the MB Custom Post Type extension to create a custom post type. Next, MetaBox Builder to visually create custom fields on a UI in the backend. MetaBox Group to group the fields together for better organization. It's just optional. And the last one, MB Views, to create a template for the timeline page. Make sure these extensions are enabled before we start. Now, let's dive in. I'm creating a new page to display the timeline only. In the real case, you may have an existing page with other content and just add the timeline to the page as an additional part. To specify the content that will be shown in the timeline, I'm going to add some custom fields to the page. I group the date and the content of each timestamp together. This date regulates the order of the content. And another one is to set the post that includes the content we want to show. Pay attention here that you absolutely can set the field to input content directly. But here I set it to select an existing post. This way may bring some advantages if we have had them in a custom post type with a bunch of detailed information for the event. Now, let's create them. Go to MetaBox, Custom Fields. I'll add the group field first. Inside this group, add subfields following the structure I indicated. The first one is for the timestamp. MetaBox offers several fields for time and date. Just pick one. The second one should be the post field type. As I explained, you can add any kind of field to input content, but if you have posts including that, we can use the post field to indicate those posts. Then, we must set the post type of those posts in this option. I have no more special settings for these fields. But for the group, I set it as collapsible to see all timestamp and its content in a neat structure. If you want to easily identify the content of each point on the timeline, you can add a title for the group. There are several suggestions to choose from. This is to number the item. This is to set the name based on the date of the timestamp. And this is to set the name of the group based on the title of the post. Certainly, since a timeline has multiple timestamps, we need more than one post showing on it. Therefore, we should set this group as clonable. It's a kind of a must-have setting. This feature is optional but useful, as it allows you to rearrange the posts based on the group title. In this case, I set the title as the date of the timestamp, so the posts will be sorted by the date that you set for each. After creating the fields and having reasonable settings, move to the Settings tab. Choose Location as Post Type and select Page. Then, go to the Advanced Location Rules section below and choose the page we created for the timeline to apply these fields to it. Since we're displaying content on the timeline from blog posts or any custom post type you're using, we should have some posts in those post types. Here are some relevant posts that I've already prepared. Now, go to the page editor. You will see the created fields. Just choose the date. And in this field, you can see a list of all posts from the specified post type. Choose one of them. To add multiple points to the timeline, click on this button to add the new date and content. Move on to display this information on the timeline page using MB views. First, we need to get all the data saved in custom fields that we made in the previous step. They include the date of the timestamps and its content. So, head over to Meta Box, Views, and create a new view as usual to do it. The data is from the fields, so click on this button and choose the fields from the list on the right sidebar to get data from them. Since we applied custom fields to the post, you should look for them in the Post tab. This is the group that we created for the timeline. It's clonable, so once we click on it, a loop will be generated in the template. This is to help get full data of the group. This is the ID of the group. Next, simply choose the subfields from the list to insert them into the loop one by one. MetaBox also provides some options to set the output of the data. So, just set the one that fits your needs. For the post, we also have some options to set its output. Because I want to show all the content of the post for more detail of the event, I choose this one. That's all to get data. Now, scroll down to the Settings section of the view. Set the type setting as singular, and choose the location as the created page to apply the template to it. It also means adding the timeline to the page. Then, go to the page on the front end. We will see all the data displayed in chronological order according to the timestamp that we saved in the date field. We've just displayed the data with an appropriate order. There's been not anything to show the timeline as a flow of time yet. The flow should be visual to help viewers easily follow information. So, we should style this timeline a lot more. In the real case, you may have a lot of ideas to have a beautiful timeline. But for this practice, I'm going to make the timeline in a simple style like this. If you like it, just follow up this step. Go back to the view that we made for the timeline to add some code. I added this line to declare a JavaScript library. I'll use it to have the action, to have the Read More button where we can interact to read the full content of the post, or to collapse them all in a short part. Next, we should add some div tags and classes for each element that we want to have on the timeline. As you can see here, along with the ones I set for the date and the content of the post, I also added a class to have this dot, and another one for the Read More button. Next, I'm going to add JavaScript code in this tab for the Read More button. This is the whole JavaScript I'm using. This is to trigger when visitors click on the Read More button. You can see that this is the class 1 created for the button before. When the button is clicked, this line of code will run. This is the class used for the post content where we want to show fully or neatly based on the click on the Read More button. When the reader click on the button, this line will add this class to the post content section. Since it is a toggle class, it will be removed when having one more click. And we will use this class to show full of the post content later. It also means that, when it's removed, the content will be hidden as at the beginning. Along with the change of content, the label on the button also needs to change. When the content shows fully, it should be read less or something else. So I have this part to turn the labels. Finally, go to this tab and add some CSS. Based on all the classes we added, even the toggle class from JavaScript, we can style the timeline easily. This is some parts I want to highlight here. I use this part to have a line for the timeline to show the flow of time. This is to style the dot for each timestamp. In addition, I'm setting the max height for the section displaying each post's content to limit the area for each of them. Then, hide all the content that overflows the area. And the last one is to remove the max height of the post content section to show all the hidden content. All of these codes are available on our GitHub channel, so you can refer to it for more details. After saving the template, go back to the page on the front end. You can see the new look of the timeline after styling. The button also works well. Hopefully, this tutorial will give you a hand in creating a timeline page on your site. If you want to dig into more interesting topics, please watch other videos on this channel. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to us for more tutorials. Bye.